Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to the usage, care, and maintenance of your Bell & Ross vintage BR-V2-92 black steel. Now, if you're a veteran collector, you may wish to skip forward to the part that interests you most, but I'm going to start as though we're just introducing ourselves to this watch and review all fashions of usage, care, and maintenance as the factory recommends. First and foremost, this is an automatic winding watch by virtue of the case-back winding mass. However, should the watch run down, or should you wish to wind the watch manually, take the crown and thread it counterclockwise until it is free of its stem tube. You will feel it pop distinctly out of its flush position. Now you can turn the crown 25 to 35 turns clockwise, and you'll note that the watch begins to tick. The seconds hand will advance. At this point, you can set the time, set the date, place the watch on your wrist, and the rotor will continue to wind the timepiece. But if you wish to wind the watch up to its maximum rated power reserve of approximately 38 hours, you can simply continue winding. You'll hear a subtle tick or click from within the watch that represents the bridle-style mainspring slipping to relieve excess tension. It does this by design, and you cannot accidentally overwind the watch. If you can't quite hear it, 45 turns will be more than sufficient to fully energize the watch. And remember, you cannot accidentally overwind it. Now, the timepiece does feature hacking or stop seconds. You pull the crown out 2 detents from its winding position. The best way to use this function to synchronize to a known accurate reference time is to stop the seconds hand directly at the index at 12, then use an accurate reference such as an online atomic clock, and adjust the watch to the correct hour and the next nearest minute at the point that the reference time catches up to and matches the time you've set to the second. Push the crown back in, resume the beat of the watch. Now you have set your timepiece. It should also be mentioned that the watch features what's known as a quick set date function, but it's important to remember that you should never attempt to set the date between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. If you're not sure, always roll the hands one time through the changeover at midnight. Then you know where you are in the AM-PM cycle. Advance the hands to 6 a.m. And now, in the first detent out from the winding position, you can turn the crown and you can quick set the date at 4:30. You quick set by turning full turns in a counterclockwise direction. Once you've set the date, you can then set the time appropriately. Just remember, never set the date between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. as you will damage the watch. It automatically changes its date during this period, and the mechanism is engaged for 6 hours, so you never want to use the quick set during that period. It's also important to remember that whenever you are finished using the watch via the crown, screw it back in. This is important to prevent shearing and shock damage to the stem tube assembly, as well as to maximize the water resistance of your watch. We'll discuss that more in a moment. This timepiece features a bidirectional rotating bezel that is evocative of utility watch bezels circa the 1950s and 60s of the previous century. Now, this is not what's known as a diving bezel, but it can be used when lined up with the minute hand or the broadsword hand to measure time periods. Now, depending on which hand, the baton minutes or broadsword hours, you line up with, you will time different intervals, but it's an easy radial scale against which you can read the passage of time. Now, water, magnetism, and shock will be the principal threats to your timepiece. It's important to discuss water first because it has the gravest consequences and it's ubiquitous. First and foremost, this water-resistant timepiece is rated to 100 meters, but leather, a natural porous material as featured on the strap, is never water-resistant, so always quickly dry the strap should it come in contact with moisture, and always avoid wetting or submerging a leather strap. It's also important to recognize that while 100 meters is sufficient for aquatic activities, this is not a professional dive watch. Bell & Ross has other members of its collection that are capable divers and rated as such. Now, water resistance is not a static feature of a watch. Over time, as seals age and lubricants degrade, the watch will be relatively less water resistant than when it first left the factory or the service center. Therefore, Bell & Ross advises at minimum every 24 months, having your watch dry water tested at a Bell & Roth's authorized service center. This is also a good time to have total cosmetic, chronometric, and water resistance condition tested. The timepiece now can be assisted by its owner to avoid accidental drowning. Remember that when the crown is withdrawn, you thread it out, and now the water resistance of the watch has been compromised. When there's water on the case, never thread the crown out. Never attempt to use any of the crown functions, as attempting to do so while there is water on the case, the watch doesn't even have to be submerged. But using the crown on a wet watch can bypass the case seals and introduce water to the interior of the timepiece to catastrophic mechanical and cosmetic consequences. Now, threading the crown in so it's protected by its shoulders also helps to protect from abrasion and blows, and along these lines, we need to discuss the threat posed by shock. Shock, such as concussion, extreme vibration, can be caused by batting practice, golf, tennis, firearms marksmanship, mountain biking, or the riding of ATVs. And this kind of concussive activity can damage a fine mechanical timepiece. Therefore, ensure the watch is disused during highly concussive activities. Magnetism, however, can be alleviated more easily, but keep in mind it is unseen and it is everywhere. The ferrous hairspring at the center of your watch's balance, effectively the heart of your watch, can become magnetized, leading to erratic timing, fast or slow. And if you suspect that your watch has become magnetized due to erratic timekeeping, take it to a Bell & Ross authorized service center where specialized equipment is available to quickly and easily demagnetize your watch. Just to be careful, keep the watch remote from powerful static magnets such as speakers, subwoofers, the closures of wallets and purses, as well as refrigerator doors, and keep the watch remote from powerful electronic appliances as well as everyday gear such as high-powered tablets or phones, as these can create their own induced electromagnetic fields. Ultimately, Bell & Ross recommends every 3 to 5 years a comprehensive overhaul for your mechanical timepiece. This will involve everything from restoration of cosmetic condition to replacement of strap, restoration of water resistance, as well as cleaning, oiling, reassembly, and regulation of the movement itself. Now, when performed every 3 to 5 years, it will maintain the functional integrity as well as the investment integrity of your watch. And remember, only service with Bell & Ross authorized service centers or the factory itself, as these agencies solely have the trained personnel, specialized tools, and original factory replacement parts to maintain the integrity of your timepiece. Also, only these agencies can back any parts and labor invested with an original Bell & Ross factory service warranty. Please visit our website at govbergwatches.com to learn more about this and the entire collection of Bell & Ross timepieces, and call, text, or email our experts who will be happy to walk you through every phase of the usage and ownership process.